Have you ever wondered why some people seem to captivate without trying, while others chase endlessly, only to feel invisible? Maybe you've been in a moment where you gave your all, your love, your energy, your attention, only to feel it wasn't enough. You cared so much that it felt like your whole world revolved around him, yet he seemed to pull away. The more you tried, the more distant he became. It's a painful cycle, isn't it? That feeling of always needing him to respond, to notice, to give you what you've been pouring into him. But here's the truth, and it might sting. Neediness doesn't attract love. It pushes it away. You're not here to chase anyone's validation. That version of you, the one who bends over backward for scraps of attention, isn't the real you. The real you is something far more powerful, something he could never take for granted. The real you doesn't beg for affection. You command it. And this moment, it's your time to step into that truth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's where your journey begins, not by changing him, but by mastering yourself. The energy you've been giving away to him, the overthinking, the endless attempts to make him see your worth. It's time to pull it back and focus it inward. Because the moment you stop being needy, the moment you stop chasing, is the moment you take back control of your life, your relationships, and your power. Think of a flame. If you smother it with too much air, it flickers and dies. But when you nurture it just right, it grows strong, steady, and captivating. That's what happens in relationships. When your energy becomes too focused on needing someone's approval or attention, it overwhelms the connection. But when you shift that energy inward, letting your light grow naturally, it draws people in without effort. Your radiance will shine, and he won't just notice it, he'll be unable to ignore it. The truth is, relationships thrive on balance. When you become too dependent on him for your happiness, you tip the scales. Neediness comes from fear, fear of losing him, fear of not being enough, fear of being alone. But that fear isn't your truth. It's a shadow of the past, of doubts you no longer need to carry. You're not here to beg for someone's time or love. You're here to build a connection where respect, admiration, and mutual effort flourish. That begins by stepping into your own worth. You're not shattered. You're a force of nature. And this is your moment to take back everything and more. No one defines your value. You do. It's time to rise and seize your throne, to stop living as though your worth depends on someone else seeing it. You've been looking at him as if he's the answer, when all along the answer was within you. Living as a queen isn't about being distant or playing games. It's about walking with a quiet confidence that says, "I know my worth, and I won't settle for less." A queen doesn't chase attention. She commands it by simply being herself. She knows that her energy is a gift, not something to be given away cheaply or out of desperation. And when you embrace that mindset, everything changes. The dynamic shifts. He begins to see you differently, not as someone always there waiting for him, but as someone he wants to move mountains to be with. Picture yourself as a diamond. A diamond doesn't shout to be seen, it simply shines. Its brilliance is undeniable, whether someone notices it or not. That's your energy. The moment you stop trying to make him see you, he will. The moment you stop needing him, he'll start needing you. But by then, you'll realize something far more important. You were never incomplete to begin with. You don't need him to complete you. You're already whole. This is not about pretending you don't care. It's about knowing that your happiness, your peace, and your self-worth are not tied to his actions. When you release that need, when you stop clinging, you create space for something real. Something where you're not just someone's option, you're their priority. And queens, you're worth that. Look in the mirror and see the unstoppable warrior staring back. Your scars aren't marks of pain, they're symbols of power. Every setback you've faced, every tear you've shed, has led you to this moment. This is where you stop waiting for someone else to define your worth. This is where you rise. Enough waiting, it's time to own your power. Imagine the look on his face when he sees the transformation. The way he'll realize you're no longer the person chasing his attention. The way your confidence will draw him in, not because you need him, but because your energy is magnetic. The love you're seeking starts within you. The moment you embrace that truth is the moment everything changes. You're not victim, you're the architect of your own victory. He didn't choose you? Good. Now you can choose yourself. You're not here to survive heartbreak. You're here to conquer it, to grow from it, to shine so brightly that you outgrow the version of yourself that ever doubted her worth. Queens, this is your moment. Take back your power. Your future is waiting. What will it see? A queen doesn't ask for love. She lives it, radiates it, and attracts it effortlessly. Let this be your turning point. Your time to rise has come. If this message resonated with you, if it lit even the smallest spark of strength, clarity, or hope in your heart, don't keep it to yourself. We pour our hearts into creating content like this, not just to inspire, but to remind you of the incredible power you already hold within. You deserve to live as the queen you are, to rise above neediness, and to create the relationships and life you truly deserve. So, if this spoke to you, if it gave you even a moment of courage or comfort, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's more than just a click, it's a connection. It's your way of saying, I'm ready to rise, and I'm not alone on this journey. Together, we're building a community of queens, strong, unstoppable, and united. Every like, every subscription reminds us why we're here, to empower, to uplift, and to help you see the brilliance that's been inside you all along. Let's rise, thrive, and create the life you were always meant to have. You've got this, and we're here for you, every step of the way. Number 1. Your worth doesn't come from his attention. It shines from within. Have you ever felt like you were pouring your heart into him, giving everything you had, only to feel like it still wasn't enough? You texted first. You planned everything. You stayed up late, wondering why his attention felt so hard to hold. It's exhausting, isn't it? Like running a race you were never meant to win. But here's a truth that might surprise you. The moment you stop needing his attention is the moment you truly start to shine. Not for him, but for yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you keep telling yourself that you need his validation to feel whole, you'll start to believe it. But queens, that's not your truth. Your worth doesn't come from his attention. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to claim it. Think about a star in the night sky. Does it shine brighter when someone looks at it? Of course not. A star shines regardless, its brilliance untouched by who notices it. That's your power. When you base your self-worth on his attention, you give him control over your happiness. But when you realize your worth is something he can't give or take, you free yourself. And when you shine like that star, he won't just notice you. He'll wonder how he ever missed you in the first place. Relationships aren't meant to be a one-sided chase. If you're always the one seeking, trying to prove your value, you're not building love, you're building dependence. Neediness stems from a place of fear. fear of being alone, fear of losing him, fear of not being enough. But let me tell you something powerful. You're already enough. He doesn't complete you. You complete yourself. And when you stand in that truth, you don't need to chase. The right person will naturally be drawn to your light, just like the sun pulls everything into orbit. Now let's talk about living as a queen. You weren't made to beg for love or attention. You were made to command respect, to carry yourself with a quiet, unshakable confidence. A queen knows that her energy is a gift, not a currency to trade for someone's affection. When you stop seeking his approval, you'll find that your energy becomes magnetic. He'll feel the shift, not because you're trying to make him, but because your presence will speak louder than anything you could say or do. Imagine a garden filled with beautiful flowers. Each flower grows strong and vibrant, rooted deeply in its own soil. But if one flower tries too hard to stretch toward another, it risks losing its foundation. That's what neediness does. It uproots your confidence, your stability. Instead, focus on nourishing yourself. Grow so strong and radiant in your own space that he has no choice but to be drawn to your beauty. And if he doesn't, then he's not the gardener you're waiting for. Queens, look in the mirror. That's your biggest ally. The reflection staring back at you isn't incomplete, isn't lacking, isn't desperate. She's powerful. She's been through heartbreak, disappointment, and moments of doubt. Yet here she is, standing, stronger than ever. You're not defined by who notices you. You're defined by how you carry yourself when no one is looking. The love you're chasing, it starts within. When you embrace yourself fully, your strengths, your flaws, your dreams, you radiate a kind of energy that no one can ignore. And that energy doesn't beg, it doesn't plead. It simply exists, drawing in what it deserves. That's your power. That's your truth. Imagine the look on his face when he realizes you're no longer waiting for him to see you, that you've stopped trying to win his attention and started owning your worth. He'll feel the loss, not because you tried to make him, but because you chose yourself. And in that moment, you'll realize something even greater. You never needed him to define your value. You've always been more than enough. This is your moment to rise. No more begging for love. No more chasing approval. You're not here to fit into his life. You're here to build your own. And when you do, you won't just attract the love you deserve. You'll attract a life that reflects the incredible, unstoppable woman you are. Now, queens, say this affirmation with me. I shine because my worth comes from within. Write it in the comments and make it your truth. Let the world know that you've stopped chasing and started owning your power. If this message touched your heart, if it reminded you of the strength you've always had, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working tirelessly to create these lessons for you, to help you step into your light and build the relationships and life you deserve. Together, we rise, queens. Your journey starts now. Number 2. Neediness is like chasing the wind. You'll never catch it, but it will leave you breathless. Have you ever tried to catch the wind with your hands? No matter how fast you run or how tightly you grasp, it always slips away. That's exactly what happens when you act out of neediness in a relationship. The more you cling, the more distant he becomes, leaving you breathless and empty-handed. It's exhausting, isn't it? Feeling like you're doing everything you can to keep his attention, only to watch him pull further away. But here's the truth. Chasing will never bring you closer to what you want. Real connection doesn't come from grasping. It comes from letting go. Neediness is born from fear. Fear of losing him. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being left behind. But queens, fear is a liar. It whispers doubts that keep you stuck in a cycle of overthinking, overgiving, and over-explaining. It makes you feel like you have to prove your worth, but your worth has never been up for debate. You are already enough. It's time to stop chasing the wind and start standing still in your power. When you do, you'll find that love flows naturally, without the need to beg, push, or force. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. His thoughts, his feelings, his choices, those are the wind. They're beyond your control, but your strength, your confidence, your energy, that is yours to command. The moment you stop pouring everything into trying to hold on to him is the moment you start reclaiming the energy to build a life that draws him in effortlessly. Let him come to you, not because you chased him, but because your light was too magnetic to resist. Imagine a bird in a cage. The more you try to hold it captive, the more it struggles, yearning for freedom. But if you open the door and let it breathe, it often returns willingly, drawn by the trust and space you've given it. Relationships work the same way. When you stop clinging, when you release the desperate need to keep him close, you create the freedom for something genuine to grow. He'll no longer feel the weight of being chased. Instead, he'll feel the pull of your confidence, your calm, and your self-assurance. Neediness is not love. It's a hunger that says, I am not enough without you. But queens, you are enough. You were never incomplete. The love you're searching for doesn't start with him. It starts within you. When you stop chasing his validation, you'll find that you were the prize all along. He's not the answer to your happiness. You are. He's not the source of your worth. You've carried that inside you from the beginning. The moment you realize this, you become unstoppable. A queen doesn't chase. She reigns. She doesn't beg for affection. She commands it by the way she carries herself, by the way she values her time and energy. When you embrace this mindset, you shift the dynamic completely. Instead of bending over backward to keep his attention, you start living in a way that makes him work to earn yours. You're not asking him to choose you. You're showing him why being with you is the greatest privilege he could have. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't move. It doesn't chase the ships in the water. It simply stands tall, shining its light, guiding everything around it without losing its grounding. That's the energy you need to embody. Be the lighthouse in your own life. Stand firm, radiate your strength, and let him come to you. The ships may drift, but the light remains, unwavering. When you stop chasing the wind, you become a force he cannot ignore. Relationships are not about proving your worth to someone. They're about mutual respect, connection, and effort. If you're constantly trying to hold on to him, to prove you're good enough, you're tipping the scales too far. Balance comes when you recognize your value and allow the relationship to grow naturally. You don't need to explain yourself or try harder to be seen. You are already seen. You are already worthy. Queens, the time for chasing is over. The time for proving is over. This is your moment to rise, to let go of the fear and desperation that's been holding you back, and to embrace your power fully. Love flows where confidence lives. The moment you step into your strength, you won't need to chase anything. Everything meant for you will come effortlessly. Look in the mirror and see the unstoppable warrior staring back. She doesn't need to catch the wind because she is the calm in the storm, the light that guides, the queen who reigns. Say this affirmation with me. I will stop chasing the wind. I am the calm, the light, and the queen. Write it in the comments, queens. Claim it. Let it be your promise to yourself to rise above the fear and step fully into your power. Channel. We are working tirelessly to create life-changing lessons for you, because you deserve to live as the queen you are. Together, we rise, we thrive, and we create lives that are unstoppable. You've got this. We're here for you every step of the way. Number 3. A queen doesn't compete for affection. She chooses who is worthy of her throne. Have you ever noticed how desperation pushes what you want even further away? It's like trying to hold on to sand. The harder you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. Maybe you've been there, feeling like you're giving everything in the hope that he'll see your worth. You find yourself overthinking, overgiving, and bending your needs just to feel closer to him. But the more you try, the less he seems to notice. It's exhausting, isn't it? Chasing his affection, as if your happiness depends on his approval. But here's the truth. Love isn't something you compete for. A queen doesn't fight for attention. She decides who is worthy of her throne. There's a timeless saying by Epictetus: know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. This wisdom reminds us that your value doesn't come from how much effort you put into proving yourself to him. It comes from knowing your worth and carrying yourself with the quiet confidence of a queen. The moment you stop trying to earn his affection and start focusing on yourself, the dynamic shifts. He'll no longer see you as someone chasing him, but as someone so radiant that he wants to stand in your light. Think of it this way. Imagine you're a rare and beautiful crown, encrusted with priceless gems. Does the crown beg to be worn? Number its value speaks for itself. The person worthy of wearing it understands its worth and treats it with the care and reverence it deserves. That's you. You are not here to be a second thought or an afterthought. You're not a backup plan. You're the main event, the one who chooses, not the one who waits to be chosen. Relationships are about mutual respect and effort. When you overgive and overprove, it creates an imbalance. You might think you're showing love, but what you're really doing is teaching him to take you for granted. A queen knows the difference between being generous and being undervalued. She doesn't pour all her energy into someone who isn't pouring back into her. Instead, she focuses on her own growth, her own happiness, and her own power. When you live this way, you become irresistible, not because you're chasing him, but because your energy is magnetic. Imagine a lighthouse standing tall on a rocky shore. Its light doesn't chase the ships in the sea. It shines steadily, guiding those who are meant to find their way to it. That's how you must be in relationships. When you stop competing for his affection and start standing in your own power, you become like that lighthouse, strong, steady, and undeniable. The right person will see your light, not because you demanded it, but because it cannot be ignored. When you feel the urge to compete for his attention, pause and ask yourself, is this who I want to be? Am I acting from a place of strength, or am I giving away my power? The truth is, neediness comes from fear. Fear of losing him, fear of not being enough, fear of being alone. But those fears are just illusions. You are enough, right here and right now. And the moment you let go of the need to prove your worth is the moment you start attracting what you truly deserve. This is where the shift happens. This is where you stop being the girl who waits by the phone, overthinks every text, and settles for crumbs. This is where you start living as a queen. A queen doesn't beg for attention. She commands it by the way she carries herself. She knows that her time, her energy, and her love are valuable. She doesn't give them away to just anyone. And when you embrace this mindset, you don't have to fight for his affection, he'll fight for yours. It's not about playing games or pretending you don't care. It's about setting boundaries and holding yourself to a higher standard. It's about realizing that your worth isn't tied to whether he calls or texts or shows up. Your worth is inherent. When you stop competing for his affection, you take back the power that was always yours. You become the one who decides who is worthy of your love, your time, and your energy. Look in the mirror and remind yourself of this. You don't need him to feel complete. You don't need to chase love because the love you're seeking is already within you. He may have doubted you, but you're about to prove him wrong, not by words, but by becoming so confident and self-assured that he'll wonder how he ever overlooked your worth. Queens, this is your moment. Stop competing. Start choosing. Stand tall like the rare diamond you are. Let the world see your brilliance and let him realize that your light was never his to dim. Repeat this affirmation. I don't compete for love. I choose who is worthy of my heart. Write it in the comments, claim it, and let it be the truth you live by. And if this message touched your heart, if it gave you the strength to step into your power, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Number 4. You're not a backup plan, you're the main event. Have you ever stopped to wonder why you've been pouring so much of your energy into trying to make him see your worth? You text first, you call, you make excuses for his silence, hoping that just one more effort will make him realize how much you care. But instead of pulling him closer, it feels like he's slipping further away. The truth is, you've been treating yourself like a backup plan in his life, a safety net for when everything else doesn't work out. Let that sink in for a moment. You deserve better than to be anyone's maybe. You're not a backup plan, you're the main event. It's time to start living like it. There's a powerful quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that says, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Right now, you've been consenting to feel small by waiting for his validation, his attention, his approval. But what if you stopped waiting? What if you realized that the only validation you've ever needed is already within you? The moment you stop looking to him to define your value is the moment you reclaim your power. Queens don't wait to be chosen, they do the choosing. Imagine you're a priceless painting hanging in a gallery. If someone walks by and doesn't stop to admire its beauty, does that mean the painting loses its value? Of course not. The painting doesn't beg for attention or try to convince anyone of its worth. It simply exists in its brilliance, knowing that the right person will see it for what it is. You are that painting. You don't need to chase his attention to prove you're worthy of love. Your worth is innate, unchanging, and undeniable. In relationships, neediness stems from a fear of loss. You worry that if you don't try hard enough, he'll leave. But here's the truth. The person who truly values you will never need convincing. When you treat yourself like the prize you are, the right person will naturally step up to match your energy. It's not about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about truly understanding that you don't need to settle for breadcrumbs when you deserve the whole feast. Living as a queen means knowing that your love, your time, and your energy are treasures, not things to be handed out lightly. A queen doesn't run after someone who doesn't see her value. She stands tall, radiates confidence, and lets the world adjust to her light. When you stop acting like a backup plan and start living as the main event, everything changes. You begin to see that his indifference says more about him than it ever could about you. Picture a grand stage. You're standing in the spotlight and the audience is watching, captivated by your strength, your grace, and your unwavering confidence. Now, imagine stepping off that stage, running into the wings, and asking one person if they liked your performance. Do you see how ridiculous that sounds? Why would you leave your spotlight for the approval of one person when your presence is already enough to fill the entire room? Stay on your stage. That's where you belong. The right person won't need convincing. They'll be in the front row, clapping the loudest. The key to attracting the love you deserve lies in your ability to honor yourself first. When you stop acting out of fear of rejection, fear of being alone, you start making space for a real connection to grow. True love isn't born out of desperation. It thrives in confidence and mutual respect. When you treat yourself like the main event, you send a clear message. I am enough, and I won't settle for less than I deserve. That energy is magnetic. It draws people in, not because you're chasing them, but because your self-assurance makes you irresistible. Your journey to living as the main event begins with a single, powerful decision: to stop settling. Stop settling for half-hearted attention, for unanswered texts, for love that makes you question your worth. You don't need to chase anyone to feel complete. You are already whole. Look in the mirror and see the unstoppable warrior staring back at you. She's been through pain, heartbreak, and doubt. But she's still here, stronger and more radiant than ever. You're not a victim of his indifference. You're the architect of your own destiny. It's time to build a life so fulfilling, so vibrant, that anyone who ever doubted your worth becomes irrelevant. The love you've been chasing begins with you. Once you embrace that truth, you'll attract the kind of relationship that feels effortless, where you're not begging to be noticed, but celebrated for exactly who you are. Say this affirmation with me: I am the main event. I won't settle for being a backup plan. Queens, write this in the comments below and declare it to the world. Let it be a reminder that your worth isn't tied to his opinion. It's yours to claim and own. If this message touched your heart, if it reminded you of your power and your worth, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working tirelessly to create content that lifts you up, inspires you, and helps you take back control of your life and your relationships. Together, we rise, we thrive, and we live as queens. Number 5. Love is a garden. You can't force a flower to bloom. Have you ever tried to rush something only to find it slipping further away? Maybe you found yourself giving too much, too fast, hoping it would spark the love and connection you deserve. You poured your energy into him, hoping he'd see how much you care, only to feel frustrated when the relationship didn't bloom the way you wanted. It's painful, isn't it? That feeling of doing everything you can, yet watching things fall apart. But here's the truth. Love, like a garden, cannot be forced. You can't make a flower bloom before its time. There's a wisdom in nature that applies so perfectly to relationships. Rumi once said, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come?" Just as a gardener doesn't demand that a seed sprout the day it's planted, you can't force love to grow by pushing or pleading. True connection takes time, care, and space to thrive. Think about planting a seed. If you dig it up every day to check if it's growing, you'll kill it. Love is the same. When you cling too tightly, when you try to control every step, you smother the very thing you're trying to nurture. Neediness isn't about how much you care. It's about fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of not being enough. Fear that he won't love you unless you're always there, giving more. But fear cannot grow love. Only confidence and patience can. Relationships flourish when they're built on balance and trust. When you're grounded in your own worth, you allow love to grow naturally. You're not chasing his attention or begging for his affection. Instead, you're creating a space where love can thrive because it's mutual, not forced. And that's when everything changes. When you let go of trying to control him or the relationship, you give him the freedom to see you for who you truly are. Someone worth choosing, not someone demanding to be chosen. Queens, this is where your power begins. Living as a queen doesn't mean playing games or pretending you don't care. It means knowing that your love is a gift, not a bribe. A queen doesn't kneel in the dirt, begging for a flower to bloom. She plants her garden with purpose, tending to it with care, but never losing herself in the process. She knows that some flowers will flourish and others will fade, and that's okay. She doesn't chase what isn't meant for her. She grows her own radiance, and the right love finds her. Imagine the garden of your life. Every act of self-love is a seed. Every boundary you set is a strong root. Every step you take toward your dreams is the sunlight that makes it all grow. When you focus on your own growth, on building your own happiness, you become the most vibrant part of that garden. He'll notice, not because you begged for his attention, but because your energy becomes irresistible. Love isn't a race. It's not about doing more, giving more, or proving more. It's about showing up as your best self and letting him meet you there. If he's not ready, it's not your job to pull him forward. Your worth isn't tied to how hard you work to keep a relationship alive. You're not here to prove yourself to anyone. You're here to grow, to shine, to live as the queen you are meant to be. Look in the mirror and see the unstoppable force staring back at you. You don't need to chase love. It will find you when you stand tall in your own power. Stop waiting for him to notice you. Start noticing yourself. You don't need him to complete you, you're already whole. You don't need to force anything, because what's meant for you will bloom naturally. Say this affirmation with me. I nurture myself, and love blooms where it's meant to grow. Queens, write this in the comments and claim it as your truth. Let it be a reminder that you are the gardener of your life, and your love is the seed. You don't need to beg for it to bloom. It will thrive in its own time. And if this message touched your heart, if it reminded you of your power and worth, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to bring you lessons that inspire, uplift, and transform. Together, we're building a community of queens who rise, thrive, and love without fear. You've got this, and we're here for you every step of the way. Number 6. Silence is your power, and absence is your greatest presence. Have you ever noticed how silence can be louder than words? How stepping back, rather than leaning in, can create an impact that echoes far longer than any argument or plea ever could? Silence isn't emptiness, it's a force, and when used wisely, it can reshape relationships and make him see you in ways you never thought possible. Right now, you might feel the urge to explain yourself, to make him understand your worth. But let me tell you something that will change everything. Your silence will speak louder than any words ever could. Your absence? That will leave an impression he won't forget. Epictetus once said, "Silence is safer than speech." In relationships, silence isn't about shutting down or playing games. It's about stepping into your own power, reclaiming your energy, and letting him feel the weight of what he's missing. When you stop chasing, stop calling, and stop trying to make him see you, he's left with nothing but the quiet realization of your absence. That's where the magic happens, not in noise, but in the stillness you leave behind. Imagine a candle in a dark room. Its flame flickers and glows, casting warmth and light. But the moment that flame disappears, the darkness feels overwhelming. That's your energy in his life. When you're always there, always giving, always explaining, he might take your light for granted. But the moment you pull back, the moment your warmth is gone, he feels the chill of your absence. And queens, that's when he starts to see what he had and what he's lost. Neediness can feel like holding water in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But when you stop trying to hold on to him so desperately, you free yourself to focus on your own strength. Silence is the space where respect begins to grow. It's where he begins to reflect on your value. Instead of filling every gap with your words or your presence, let the silence do the work for you. In the absence of your energy, he'll realize just how much it meant. Living as a queen means knowing when to be silent and when to speak. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about recognizing that your energy is a gift. You don't need to convince him of your worth. Your silence will make him see it. When you pull back, when you focus on yourself, you're not being selfish. You're stepping into your power. Queens don't chase, they attract. They know their value, and they don't beg anyone to recognize it. Look in the mirror. That reflection staring back at you. She's stronger than she knows. She's not broken. She's becoming. This is your moment to rise, to take control of your story. Silence doesn't mean you've lost. It means you're choosing a different path. You're no longer reacting to his every move. You're creating space for something better. The love you deserve doesn't require you to explain, to prove, or to beg. It flows naturally when you step into your own strength. Imagine the day he realizes what he let go, the day he feels the void your silence created. By then, you'll be too busy thriving, too radiant in your own light, to care. Because queens don't wait for someone to see their value. They already know it. You're not here to chase. You're here to reign. So queens, here's your affirmation. My silence is my power, and my absence is unforgettable. Write it in the comments below and claim it as your truth. Let the world know that you're stepping into your strength, that you're done chasing, and that you're ready to attract the love and respect you deserve. If this message resonated with you, if it reminded you of the power you've always had within, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working hard to create life-changing lessons like this because you deserve nothing less. Together, let's rise, thrive, and reclaim everything that's already yours. You've got this.